A secret source from the Pentagon has just revealed a chilling truth. The U.S. military is seriously considering intercepting 3I Atlas, the colossal interstellar object rushing through the solar system. If this information is accurate, it would mark the first time in human history that an object from beyond our solar system is classified as a direct military threat to Earth. But why has all of this been hidden? The American people have the right and the responsibility to know the truth about unidentified aerial phenomena. Yet that truth has long been locked away in top-secret files, buried under fear, stigma, and threats of retaliation. Now Atlas is no longer hiding. It is following a trajectory so impossibly absurd that the military has been forced to activate emergency protocols, measures once reserved only for extinction-level asteroid scenarios. And the terrifying question is, what if we can't stop it? Worse still, what if it fights back? It all began one night in the Arizona desert, when a faint point of light changed everything. In July 2025, beneath the Arizona sky, the Catalina Sky Survey was carrying out a quiet night of observation. This NASA-funded project uses automated telescopes to scan for asteroids that might be on a collision course with Earth. Then suddenly, in the data, a faint dot appeared. It was so weak that at first it was dismissed as noise, or perhaps just a piece of drifting space debris. But when the computer began comparing sequential images, the system triggered an alert. This object was moving, and the speed it calculated instantly left the entire team stunned. 60 kilometers per second, twice as fast as any spacecraft humans have ever built. So fast it should have shown up only as a fleeting blur. Yet strangely, Atlas did not vanish into streaks of distortion, but appeared sharp and steady in each frame. An interstellar object, revealing itself. Follow-up observations were quickly made, and soon the scientific community confirmed this was not an asteroid from our solar system, but a visitor from the void between the stars. The third interstellar object ever recorded, after Oumuamua in 2017 and 2I Borisov in 2019. The entire astronomy community erupted. At first, it was seen as a golden opportunity, since every interstellar object is like a time capsule, carrying primitive matter formed billions of years ago in distant star systems. Scientists hoped Atlas might help them unlock the mysteries of how planets and comets formed across other galaxies. But the excitement didn't last long. Within weeks, as spectral and photometric data were analyzed, everything began to look wrong. Atlas was too big, its diameter estimated at 20 kilometers, making its mass thousands of times greater than Oumuamua. It was moving too steadily, showing none of the tumbling or chaotic spin of a natural comet. And it appeared at too perfect a moment, hiding among star fields for weeks only to reveal itself on July 1st, 2025, as though it had chosen the timing. This was no longer just a piece of debris adrift in space. To many, 3I Atlas began to resemble a signal, a deliberate arrival. And the moment Catalina Sky Survey detected it, the world stepped into a new and unsettling chapter. Right after 3I Atlas was recorded, an entire network of telescopes on Earth and in space joined in. Paranal in Chile, Mauna Kea in Hawaii, the Subaru telescope, and even Hubble and James Webb, all turned their eyes toward it. A colossal interstellar object had just entered humanity's backyard, and this could be the greatest discovery of the century. But the initial thrill quickly turned into shock. Spectral analysis, splitting Atlas's light to read its chemical composition, produced results beyond imagination. With a normal comet, you'd expect the familiar spectral lines of water vapor, carbon dioxide, or silicate dust. But with Atlas, none of that appeared. Instead, there was a jumble of spectral lines that didn't match any astronomical database. One research team reported, "We could only identify less than 10% of the signals. The rest are completely unknown." Atlas's brightness was just as unsettling. Ordinary comets brighten in a fairly predictable way. The closer they get to the sun, the brighter they glow. But Atlas defied the rule. At times, when more than 500 million kilometers away, it suddenly flared 12 times brighter than predicted. Then, as it drew closer in orbit, its brightness dropped to just 40% of expectations. Hubble even recorded fluctuations within less than 2 hours, something never before seen in a celestial body spanning 20 kilometers. Some scientists dubbed this the cosmic headlight effect, because Atlas seemed to flicker on and off like a controlled signal. The more data was published, the more suspicions grew. If it was only a natural block of ice and rock, why would its brightness break the rules dozens of times? If it was just ordinary gas and dust, why would 90% of its spectrum remain unexplained? Across scientific forums, the keyword Atlas became a storm. One side argued this might be a completely new natural phenomenon, something humanity had never witnessed. The other side began whispering about a far more unsettling possibility. Maybe Atlas isn't natural at all. From the joy of a historic discovery, the scientific community now found itself in a crisis of belief. Atlas was no longer just a mystery. It was a direct challenge to the entire body of astronomical knowledge humanity has ever built. When James Webb's spectral data was released, one detail broke apart everything we thought we knew. The reflected light from the surface of 3I Atlas showed refined nickel with a purity of 99.9%. For comparison, in ordinary meteorites, nickel is only about 60 to 70% pure, and it always comes mixed with impurities such as iron or sulfur. That 99.9% level is equivalent to metallic alloys forged by humans in modern factories, not at all like any natural object ever recorded. To achieve that kind of purity on Earth, we need smelters operating at temperatures above 1,450 degrees Celsius, with controlled pressure, impurity separation, and multi-stage heat treatment. That is an industrial chain in every sense. And if nature somehow created such a process by chance, it would be like finding a fully intact smartphone growing out of a rock. The shock didn't end there. Observations of Atlas's surface showed it to be unnaturally smooth, with a reflectivity twice that of ordinary comets. In other words, it gleamed strangely bright. A body wandering millions of years through interstellar space should be scarred by cosmic rays and micrometeorite impacts. Its surface rough, darkened, covered with fractures. But Atlas was the opposite. It showed almost no sign of damage. Some scientists even compared it. It looks like a block of metal freshly polished in a factory, as if it only rolled off the line a few decades ago. Conservative hypotheses were quickly put forward to calm the public. Some suggested Atlas might have suffered a massive collision, melting and then refreezing into a smooth surface. But the data didn't support that. If it had melted, the surface should show cracks and patchy regions of recrystallization. Instead, Atlas was uniform to an absurd degree, and when all the evidence was placed side by side, the nearly perfect nickel purity, the unnaturally clean surface, the intact condition after millions of years adrift in space, only one hypothesis remained that sent a chill through the world. Atlas may not be a natural comet at all, but a constructed structure. A product of technology hidden beneath a cometary shell, silently plunging through the solar system. If that is true, then Atlas is no longer a mere astronomical discovery. It is chilling evidence of extraterrestrial technology, which raises the terrifying questions. If it was built, who built it? And why has it appeared here now, on a trajectory crossing the path of human civilization? Surrounding this object was not a thin dust halo like any ordinary comet, but a colossal carbon dioxide cloud stretching 350,000 kilometers, nearly the distance from Earth to the Moon. Hard to believe, but the spectral data did not lie. A gas mass on the scale of the Earth-Moon system should have been torn apart instantly under the brutal pressure of the solar wind, which blows continuously at hundreds of kilometers per second. Yet Atlas held this envelope intact, floating like a perfect bubble in empty space. The absurdity deepened when instruments measured its temperature. Instead of fluctuating wildly with distance, the entire cloud remained almost perfectly stable, varying by only a few degrees. It was as if some hidden mechanism was regulating it, keeping the whole system running as a closed environment. And the speed of the carbon dioxide molecules was the key. They were moving many times faster than sunlight alone could provide. That meant there had to be an internal energy source, unknown and continuous, pumping into it to sustain that abnormal state. This was no longer an astronomical property. It looked exactly like the signature of an operating technology. Some researchers cautiously called it an unknown natural mechanism. But more and more voices suggested Atlas was showing intentional behavior, that carbon dioxide cloud might be an energy shield, or even a disguised propulsion system. Once the orbital calculations were complete, the results were too eerie to dismiss. 3I Atlas wasn't tumbling randomly like a rock flung from a distant star system. It was heading straight for Mars with near-perfect precision. Astronomers quickly noted the probability of a natural interstellar object choosing this trajectory was essentially zero. Tracing its orbit backward, computer models showed Atlas didn't match any known star system. It was as if it appeared out of nowhere, with no clear origin point. Stranger still was its velocity, about 60 kilometers per second, which didn't align with the natural gravitational slingshot ejections usually seen in objects expelled from stellar systems. A slight adjustment, just 10 to 15 kilometers per second, would be enough to turn its course into a direct collision with a planet. That may sound large, but for an advanced navigation system, it would be no more than a gentle lane change on the cosmic highway. To visualize it, imagine throwing a pebble from California and having it land thousands of kilometers away, hitting a marble sitting still in New York. That level of accuracy defies randomness. More and more experts began to whisper, Atlas was being guided, as if within it existed some navigation system, a cosmic GPS, calculating each move, each rendezvous, following a route laid out long before. If the orbit of 3I Atlas had already shocked astronomers, its physical data pushed everything into a new realm of horror. A normal comet, as it nears the sun, begins erupting with jets of gas and dust. The pressure from those jets always destabilizes it, sending it spinning erratically. That is why 100% of comets recorded by NASA wobble like giant tops, knocked off balance. But Atlas was different. It maintained absolute stability, its path smooth as if balanced by an inner system. Data from Hubble showed its spin eccentricity to be less than 0.01, an almost impossible figure for a natural body of ice and rock. Even more unsettling, Atlas's rotation period landed precisely at a golden point, about 7.2 hours per cycle. This is exactly the optimal rate to absorb solar energy without breaking apart from centrifugal force, and not so slow as to cause thermal imbalance. Scientists at ESA compared it to a giant solar panel pre-programmed in advance. The odds of nature creating such perfect equilibrium? Less than 1 in 1 million. Surface observations left many speechless. A 20-kilometer body, traveling for billions of years through interstellar space, should be scarred with craters, fractures, and erosion from high-energy cosmic rays. Yet spectral data revealed the opposite. Atlas's surface reflected light smoothly, uniformly, almost unweathered. A preliminary study posted on ArcScience even concluded, Atlas resembles an object fresh off a production line, as if it had left a factory only decades ago. The terrifying question followed instantly. How could such a body be so young? Could it possess a self-repairing shell, a kind of nano-armor capable of healing its surface after each impact? The idea sounds like science fiction, but it was the only hypothesis that reasonably explained its absurd integrity. Atlas's tail was the thing that made everything even harder to believe. Normally, a comet's tail is a chaotic plume of gas and dust, scattered like fog under the solar wind. It's diffuse, disordered, with no sharpness or focus. But Atlas's tail was nothing like that. What appeared instead was a straight, concentrated streak, sharp-edged, resembling the exhaust of a giant jet engine. Spectral analysis from James Webb showed the gas particles in the tail were almost identical in size and streamed out at a steady speed of about 12 kilometers per second. In nature, this is nearly impossible. Comets evaporate chaotically, with particles of all sizes flying at random speeds. Here, Atlas displayed a cold precision, as if some hand were controlling the flow. Astronomers immediately recalled a concept once confined to theory: the interstellar ramjet engine. A spacecraft that scoops up hydrogen as it travels, compresses it, and ignites it for nuclear fusion, creating immense thrust. A technology humanity has only dared to sketch on paper, but Atlas seemed to be performing something uncannily similar. Could Atlas be no comet at all, but a machine designed to feed on cosmic energy, flying for millions of years without stopping? As Atlas revealed more impossible behavior, the astronomical puzzle morphed into a security crisis. What began as a curious discovery now dominated closed-door sessions in government halls. On live television, several U.S. congressmen openly pressed NASA. Are you hiding the truth about Atlas from the public? Is this really a comet or something else? The relentless questioning not only left NASA scrambling, but also ignited a wave of public suspicion. If everything was normal, why was the Pentagon involved? Meanwhile, ESA and other space agencies shifted their schedules, deploying telescopes on the ground and in orbit to track Atlas's every move. But the more they observed, the more unsettling the data became. The bizarre light fluctuations, the impossibly precise orbit, the uncanny stability of a massive body sweeping through the solar system. All suggested this was no harmless cosmic rock. In Washington, intelligence agencies raised the emergency level, activating protocols normally reserved for extinction-level asteroid threats. The Department of Defense officially classified Atlas as a potential threat. For the first time in history, an interstellar object was placed in the same risk category as missiles or strategic weapons. From then on, scientific reports were no longer freely released. They became classified files, circulated within international alliances. The US, Europe, Japan, Australia, every dataset, every spectrum reading was treated as intelligence. And behind closed doors, scenarios once confined to Hollywood were now debated in earnest, intercepting, redirecting, or even destroying Atlas if necessary. And October 3rd, 2025 is the moment the whole planet must hold its breath. That night, 3I Atlas will pass into close observation range near Mars, and humanity will, for the first time, look directly at the most mysterious intruder ever to enter the solar system. No more hypotheses, no more speculation, only the raw truth laid bare. Every telescope, from the ground to orbit, has been placed on red alert. From the Atacama Desert in Chile to the peak of Mauna Kea in Hawaii, from James Webb to Hubble, even the ExoMars TGO satellite, all eyes point to a single spot in the sky. Never before has humanity focused its entire scientific gaze on one solitary object like this. And what terrifies people is the what if. If Atlas is just a comet, it should erupt with dust, leaving behind a bright tail stretching hundreds of thousands of kilometers. That is the rule confirmed over centuries of observation. But what if it doesn't? What if it keeps its cold, steady orbit with strange light glowing ahead instead of a tail behind? In that moment, every theory collapses. We are no longer shielded by natural science, but forced to face the possibility that this is an artificial construct, and time is not on our side. After October 3rd, Atlas will race toward perihelion on October 29th, reaching nearly 68 kilometers per second, then vanish into the blinding blaze of the sun. The observation window lasts only days. If we miss it, humanity is left in the dark. No answers, no evidence, only obsession. That is why October 3rd is not just an observation date. It is a hinge of fate. Either the greatest comet show in history, or a silent and terrifying declaration that humanity has never been alone. If we see the comet's tail, we are safe. But if not, then perhaps this entire civilization will never be the same again. And that is the ultimate question. Will Atlas be remembered as a magnificent comet, or as the first proof that we are not alone in the universe? October 3rd, 2025 will decide everything. Time is running out, and the truth is closer than ever. What do you think? Atlas, natural phenomenon, or a machine built with intent? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and spread the word, and subscribe so you won't miss any updates as Atlas nears the sun. This could be the moment that changes human history forever, and you won't want to miss it.